Reading this gives you a lot better insight into why she decided to come back with that babyface promo and why maybe she was confused and maybe at the reaction that received.
Charlotte Flair had this essay on the Players Tribune. Did you get to see any of this, Way?
I did. I read it. Yes.
Yeah, this was quite the piece from Charlotte Flair going through pretty much all of like the struggles that she has had, some that she has disclosed in the past, others that she was sharing for the first time. But I thought it was like a really excellent just insight into like Ashley Flair from her brother's death and how that got her into professional wrestling following like Reed, who was the one that was, he was the one going to All Japan and wanting to break into the industry. And we saw, her coming up in FCW, the conflict with like the identity of being Ric Flair's daughter and having that last name attached to her, the good and bad that comes with it. How she missed time in around WrestleMania in 2021 due to COVID, and then got in this insane shape. And I remember her coming back on television, and she looked like in phenomenal shape and was privy to all of this online harassment from people because of her losing that amount of weight and people just taking all these shots at her that she, is basically stating like there's this character of Charlotte Flair that is like this pristine image that is perfect, and the real Ashley behind this character is very, very far from that character that does get impacted by a lot of this. And yeah, I certainly encourage people to read this. She spoke about for the first time giving her reaction to the Tiffany Stratton promo before WrestleMania, that it absolutely rocked her in the moment. She was not expecting the line to come and felt it was unfair because Ashley is the one that got divorced. Charlotte Flair is a character, and that's not part of her on-screen character is being divorced multiple times. But yeah, this period of destroying her knee at the end of 2023. And then in 2024, she opened up about many tries at fertility treatment that did not work out for her, as well as going through the divorce with Andrade. I mean, that is it's a year that you're kind of amazed that she, was able to kind of like buckle down and prepare and make like a full comeback, because like 2024 was, I think everyone knew already, like it was a significant difficult year for her, but then you throw in like just like the heartbreak of like going through fertility as she did as well. Like she really put herself out in this piece.
Absolutely. Yeah. I thought it was a beautiful essay, and I've never read her book with Rick.
It's pretty good. Like,
was it anything of this nature? Like,
I mean, I would say like I thought that Charlotte was a lot more interesting, that it's done in a way where it's Rick and Charlotte, and you're basically going back and forth between them. And I found the Charlotte stuff to be a lot more interesting because she was very open about many different areas, and this is like 2017 or so it's still relatively early in her career. But and she does talk about like past relationships and issues that she had gone through, but again, it's before like so much of her WWE career had really gotten off the ground.
She's lived several lifetimes since then, and like as at least in a short form, in comparison to a book, like I think encapsulated a lot of what she's gone through in that amount of time.
It's G1 Climax season, and that means the Post Wrestling Cafe has you covered with podcasts covering every single tournament match. Plus, we've got Rewind Away going back to 2005 to review Vengeance featuring Triple H versus Batista in a Hell in a Cell match. John and Way are going to be reviewing F1 the movie starring Brad Pitt, and of course, XL editions of Rewind a Raw, Dynamite, and SmackDown. Ad-free with the news of the week and your feedback. Sign up now at postwrestlingcafe.com.
Reading this gives you a lot better insight into why she decided to come back with that babyface promo and why maybe she was confused and maybe at the reaction that received. If you've read this, then you go back and watch that promo after the Rumble. You'll feel really bad for her because Clearly she had a really, really rough go in recent years between the divorce and just like the constant barrage of online criticism about the way she looks and her body and the injury and the fertility treatment, which is I'm again just like kind of heartbreaking to read at times, especially like for in the last paragraph of this, where it's like she's got an ongoing motif talking about I have a fantasy, I have like like, and the last few sentences are about like her talking about like a vision where like she would have children waiting for her in a tour bus, and like to talk about like a stumbling block and talk about like the difficulty in both dealing with that mentally while having the entire world shout at you and talk about why you suck and why you don't deserve your position. Again, it's not the nature of fandom is we don't know these things are going through her mind. We don't know that these things are happening to her. I guess people are aware that she was getting divorced, and that is no excuse for making fun of somebody for something like that. However, I think for me it points to like a major disconnect between maybe the way a Charlotte Flair as a character has been portrayed versus Ashley Flair the person, and the incredible sort of like likability that and sympathy I would even suggest that she would draw for some of her real life like experiences, like that she describes in this. Now I don't know, like it's not like every wrestling character has to be an extension of like who you really are, but I do feel like the way she's been portrayed on screen as this like second coming of Ric Flair in a female version is very different from who Ashley Flair evidently is as a person. Somebody who's not confident at all. Somebody who's completely the opposite of what a nature boy might represent on screen.
Yeah, I mean, it's she is someone that like certainly it's like she came back this year and was just immediately booed. And like I take no issue with like like it's one thing when we're talking about like online harassment about like personal things. I think that's very different from an audience that just they boo her. Like that is an aspect of the industry, and it's not the worst thing in the world that she has that reaction from fans on screen. And that's, I think it's more so that just it's as though the character's in this weird position at the moment where it's almost like, where are they going with her next? And I think that the Tiffany promo, the whole Tiffany buildup was sort of this. It felt as though they went into this with the idea Flair would be welcome back as a babyface. Didn't. They had to pivot that, and you had, we talk about the in-ring segment. There was also like the satellite interview they did, which was a total mess as well.
And honestly, like reading something like this, knowing how maybe, I don't know, like her struggles with insecurity to me, like completely reframes her experiences with all that, or like, why, like it completely recontextualizes, I think, like why somebody would want to defend themselves so harshly on screen that way. Again, like those moments I thought reeked of insecurity alone. And now like hearing her be so upfront with it, I find her far more fascinating now, reading this. And again, I feel like, the question is, how am I going to be Charlotte Flair today is the title of this article. I would suggest don't be Charlotte Flair. Like be more Ashley Flair in on screen, because I think that's a far more compelling person at this point. And I almost wonder, I'm almost sure that like I think her audience receptions would be far different because it would feel that much more authentic.
Yeah, there's also a great part that she talks about. She's 39 now, and it's just such a double standard of men that are her age versus women, that she says, as a female wrestler who's pushing 40, I promise you there are people in this industry who already consider me old. Never mind that I'm younger than Cody, who is considered the face of the company, younger than Roman. Never mind that CM Punk, who I'm 7 years younger than, and he headlined Mania, and John Cena, who I'm 9 years younger than, main evented night 2. And there is 100%. I still feel that double standard, and it's even been,
it's true of Hollywood, like, or really kind of any medium where women have to kind of like not just even entertainment, but like beyond.
Yeah, like there, of all the people, like there was a time period where, like, for Vince McMahon, it was like 40 was like the cutoff for men back when he was like, not even like pushing women. And that has definitely changed, where it's like Cody just turned 40 last week. And that's not of any concern to anybody of like, this guy, is he past his peak, or is he going to, like, he could very well wrestle for another like 6-7 years at this pace. And I don't doubt that like a Charlotte could go for many more years, like if her health holds up as well. But I'm certain that there is still like standards on the women that don't exist for the men.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I think there's still so much uncharted territory for like storytelling for a woman at an older age. Like even somebody like Trish, as amazing as she is, like the conversation, I guess, is always about like how she doesn't look her age. Well, like, when are we going to actually get to a story where somebody can look their age? And that's the interest, like this person coming in for one final match. And, I don't know, the same types of stories that like a Ric Flair during his retirement run could get. One of his many retirement runs.
Yeah. So again, this is up on the Players Tribune, all of that. Going also her reflections on a lot of different names, including Ronda Rousey. Some interesting comments about the Four Horsewomen that, we're not all best friends, but we're all linked because of our history and such like that. And yeah, it's a really great read. And also, there's going to be a Players Tribune piece from Mark Briscoe released on Thursday as well, talking about his brother's death. So it is Players Tribune week. They are not being tribal this week. They're giving WWE and AEW focus.
All right, cool.